In everyday life, colors are often associated to emotions. For example, we say, I feel blue or Blue Monday to indicate that we feel sad. Or in Disney's movie Inside Out, the different emotions are represented as little colored figures. Research has also shown that basic emotions such as happiness, sadness, or anger are systematically associated with certain colors. However, it is not clear whether these associations are just semantic and observers learned them by heart by being exposed to certain media and certain discourses, or whether there is something fundamental in the feel of colors that makes them associated to certain emotions. And to investigate that question, we looked at the feeling of nostalgia, which is a complex combination of different emotions that feel bittersweet, which means at the same time happy and sad. Nostalgia, we asked participants in 3 different online studies to rate how nostalgic different colors are. In one study, we had a German sample of observers, which is shown in the left column of this graphic here, and in the center column we had a British sample of observers, and in the right column you see the results for a British sample of observers, but with a different sample of colors. Now, the first row simply shows you which colors observers associated on average with nostalgia. The y-axis shows the ratings, and the higher it is, the stronger people believe the colors associate with nostalgia. And you might see with the first glimpse of your eyes that the graphics are different across the surveys. Take, for example, yellow. Yellow is rated as low in nostalgicity in German observers on the left. In British observers, the same yellow is rated as being rather nostalgic, and on the right side you see that a slightly darker yellow is rated among the most nostalgic colors. So there are clear differences across these studies, and that's understandable because you can imagine different people associate different things with nostalgia, and that results in rather random distribution of average associations of colors and nostalgia. Then we look individual differences in these color choices. We calculated the first principal component, which explains the largest amount of variance across individual observers or participants. And the weights of that first principal component is shown in the middle row here. And you can see probably that across the 3 surveys that the main difference is one between the achromatic, means black, white, gray, desaturated colors, which includes also brown and beige, on the left-hand side of these graphics, and the more colorful saturated colors on the right-hand side. And that can also be shown, so basically the weights of the principal component were strongly correlated with the saturation of these colors. That means that some observers found rather desaturated or even grayscale colors as being most nostalgic, and others found more colorful colors as being most nostalgic. Now, in that study, we had asked a whole range of other things about nostalgia. For example, also what things observers associate with nostalgia, for example, family, photos, school, this kind of stuff, and that was not correlated to color choices. But we also had asked how happy, sad, positive, and negative participants felt about nostalgia. And there was really a very simple principal component that indicated nostalgia valence for each participant, that is how rather positive or negative they feel about nostalgia. And that is shown along the x-axis in the last row of this results graphic. And along the y-axis, you can see where each participant is located along the principal component, whose weights I have shown in the middle row there. And the nostalgia valence and the color choices were systematically correlated in the sense that people who found that nostalgia is rather positive would also choose more saturated, more colorful colors. Between valence and color choices does not completely explain the color choices of observers. The variance ranges between 4% and 10%. But we should also keep in mind that nostalgia is complex and different individuals might have very different associations with their memories of the past and with nostalgia. Nevertheless, we find these systematic relationships across 3 different studies. And what that tells us more generally is that observers do not just explicitly relate color to happiness, sadness, or anger, but there seems to be something more general in the relationship between colorfulness and positive and negative feelings that also pops up when they need to judge more complex feelings such as nostalgia.